Good morning. Welcome to Hillside Ceramics. Today I'm going to show you how to cut out negative space in your skull for the eyes and the bottom. And then I did some very light carving. I'm going to show you how to use the scoopy tool or wire loops tool to do some deeper carving. So to start, let me just show you some of the tools you'll need. You'll want to have, we have a variety of perfect hole makers in the studio, so you can pick some of those. You'll also want your needle tool just for light kind of sketching. There's a small wire loops tool where there's a small wire on each end, and the X-Acto knife that has the scoopy tool. This is one of my favorite tools. So let's go ahead and get started. I'll place those to the side. And I laid my skull on the pillow, quote unquote, so it can, or bird's nest, so the back doesn't get flat. It's very leather hard now. It really won't get flat anymore. What would happen is it will roll around while I'm working. So you have a couple choices. You can do this, or you can lay it on your lap. But I would be very careful now about laying it on your lap because you're going to be using knives, and these perfect hole makers can be pretty sharp too. So it's probably safer to work on your table at this point. However, sometimes not always preferable. I'm going to go ahead now and just show you where I started lightly carving this little flower out. And I'll probably go back over this guy over here on this side. And it's just like a half a flower I'm carving in. And this is not the tool that you carve with. This is the tool that you kind of sketch with. And then you're going to go in with the small wire loops tool or the scoopy tool, or you could even use a dull pencil and carve out some nice, deep, thick lines. So I started here with these two little sketches, and I prefer the scoopy tool for this one. So I'm going to just go in, and you're going to get a lot of crumbs, clay crumbs, or we call them clay boogers, okay, when you're doing this. And I can just carve out and sometimes you'll have to go over and over and over, sometimes like 5 or 10 times to get all those clay boogers out. And you'll want to go nice and deep. It will be so much easier later when you go to paint. The deeper you go, the more aesthetically pleasing it will look in the end. And this just makes life easier when you go to paint, because you can just drop paint in those lines and smear and kind of rub it off when it lands on the side of the skull with the sponge. So I have my carvings, and and another tool you're going to want out is your water. So I had to wet it and then go again, and that pulls some of those clay boogers out, kind of softens the lines also. And again, I'm holding mine up to the camera, and it's just kind of easier to hold it sometimes too. You want to be very careful. At this point, you have a lot of appliques added on, or you should have a lot of appliques, and you don't want to bump them off. So this is kind of the more meticulous but creative side. So I have this little half flower underneath, and I'm gonna go ahead and do the same to this side now. And my flowers, they're not twins, they're cousins. And the reason I didn't put any real design yet around my eye, on my eyes, is because I'm gonna be cutting out that negative space in just a minute. And that'll be in the next video. But you'll see it looks really sloppy at first. It should, okay? Another thing, and I forgot, I like to have out, and I'm gonna grab them, is I like to have a couple dry brushes. So, again, I like to have some brushes. You can use the brushes to kind of take out the clay boogers as you go, especially if the lines start to look confusing. So do have brushes around, maybe wet and dry. And you just keep going over and over and over until you get what you like. And your lines should be NCP, neat, clean, and professional. They shouldn't be cruddied up with a bunch of clay crumbs or clay boogers. You can blow on it. But you just keep going back over and over and over and take that sponge in there. And again, that gives it more of that pillowy effect. And this is where we have to be careful too in the studio, because we don't want to be breathing these crumbs. So when you clean up, you really want to make sure you're sweeping the table so those things don't fall on the ground and all that clay doesn't fall on the ground and we don't start breathing it. But again, just meticulously going over each line over and over. And I still have a lot more work to do on this, but for time's sake, so you can get started, I'll probably end it around there. So I like these two carvings. I was going to put another petal there. I think I'll leave it. And I can go back over. I impressed my mouth earlier in the week. I may want to go back over and thicken those lines a little bit. Some of those impressings, like for the mouth, are a little bit thin. And again, the more you, I'll come back to that one. The more you carve, the deeper and the wider you carve, later on your life is going to be easier. Okay? So and again, you get those clay boogers that get in the way. I'm going with the tip of the knife. Another tool, like I said, you have the small wire loops tool. It does about the same thing, and sometimes it picks it out better, the clay boogers. So you can try that one as well. You see, it kind of picks them up a little bit better. Might add one more. Let's see. And I'm going to go in and take a wet brush. It's just being patient and repeating kind of what you keep doing until all those crumbs come out. You don't want it looking crummy, right? You want it looking aesthetically pleasing. All right, so for now, I'm satisfied with the start of my carvings, and I'm gonna have another video preparing right now for it where we carve out our negative space. All right, thank you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification button. Bye-bye.